I'm Dr. Mary Jane Woodger, and you're listening to Gospel Tangents.
So the best source for Mormon history, science, and theology, and first daily Mormon history podcast. I'm Rick Bennett. We're going to turn back this clock, and we're going to go to both World War II and the Cold War era. Dr. Mary Jane Woodger has written a book, Mission President or Spy. We're going to talk about Wallace Toronto. He was the mission president in Czechoslovakia during both the Nazi and the communist regimes. So it's an amazing story. You won't forget this. Check out our conversation. Welcome to Gospel Tangents. I'm excited to have an amazing BYU professor. Could you go ahead and tell us who you are and what you teach?
I'm Mary Jane Woodger, and I teach Teachings of the Living Prophets and 20th Century Church History, which is a class called The Global Church.
Okay. Well, very good. You know, I understand you're a co-author with Casey Griffiths. We've had him on a couple of times. What books did you help him write?
We wrote 2 volumes of Relics of the Restoration, which is an incredible book about some objects of the church that are important. And then we also did 100... I can't remember.
Most important events in church history.
100 most important events in church history. And we also did 100 most important places in church history.
Oh, wow. So you're just the top 100 of everything.
Yeah, we're into numbers.
Well, I'm a math guy, so I'm a numbers guy.
Well,
so
there you go.
This is why we get along.
There
right?
you go. Well, I don't know. You told me you taught statistics, and that was the worst semester of my life.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, I bet you have.
Well, before we dive in, why don't you give us your background? Where did you get your bachelor's and master's and PhD and all that stuff?
I received my bachelor's degree in a field that no longer exists.
Oh.
I was a home economics teacher.
Oh, wow.
Home economics education.
Didn't they just change the name?
Well, kind of, but it's not what it was at all. And
that was from
BYU.
Okay.
And then I received my master's of education from Utah State.
Oh, you're an Aggie too.
All
still blue.
For sure. And I had an emphasis in American history.
Oh, wow.
And then my doctorate is also from BYU in educational leadership.
Okay.
With a minor in church history and doctrine.
Well, very good. Very good. Well, I'm excited to talk to you. I met you, I think, first at MHA last year. And
at Palmyra.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are you going again to Kirtland/Cleveland?
Well, sure.
All right.
Of course.
All right. And so we were talking about what your expertise was in. And why don't you go ahead and show us this book that you told me to read, which was a fantastic book. So tell us the name and what's it about?
The name is Mission President or Spy, The True Story of Wallace Toronto, the Czech Mission, and World War II.
Yeah. So it's a fantastic book.
I thought so.
Because you get into both the Nazi and communist regimes in Czechoslovakia.
Yes.
So this isn't something we talk about in Sunday school very often.
No, we certainly don't. He is amazing. I'm sure that he served longer as mission president than any other mission president we've ever had.
Yeah.
And as you said, he covered the pre-Nazi regime in Czechoslovakia and then was there after the communists took over also.
Right.
So, and then he was the de facto mission president. He came home to Utah after he was escorted out of the country.
So, and I don't know if we should give it away. Was he a spy?
Oh, for sure. Just ask the communists. He, at one point, you know how the FBI puts most wanted posters.
Uh-huh.
Well, the Czech government did that, and he was the number one at one point.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he really made a name for himself.
Well, let's dive in, because he served his mission as Czechoslovakia as well.
Yes. Originally, he was assigned to Germany.
Okay.
And then when they opened up Czechoslovakia, which is another incredible story about a woman who literally prayed the missionaries to come. And they reassigned 5 of them to the Czech mission. And he was one of those 5 originally. And you'll have Elder Widtsoe, John Widtsoe, dedicate the country in 1929 for the preaching of the gospel.
Okay.
And Wally will be there as one of the missionaries.
Well, that's very cool. So where did he grow up? He probably has a Utah background, right?
Of course, sure. He grew up here in Salt Lake City, and he comes from pioneer stock, but he has his grandfather was the first Italian and the first, I should say, of Italian descent. No, he came from Italy, so that would be Italian, right? Mm-hmm. And also the first Roman Catholic to join the church.
Oh, wow.
And
that was here in Utah or in Italy?
No. Well, I'll tell you the story because it's incredible. He, his name was Guiseppe Taranto with an A instead of an O. I don't know if I'm saying it right. But he went into the Mediterranean merchant service, and they went all over the world. And he ended up in New York. And he had collected a lot of money, and he became very worried that someone was going to take his money. And one night he had a dream, and that's actually how I got into this, as I was writing a book on dreams.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And in his dream, a man approached him and told him to give his money to Mormon Brigham.
Okay.
Now, he had no idea what that was. He was told in the dream if he did it, he would be blessed for it.
What year was this approximately?
This is probably in the 1840s.
Okay, so Brigham would have still been alive then.
Oh, sure. And he ended up in Boston, and that's where he first learned of the Mormon missionaries.
Oh, wow.
And he was baptized in 1843 at the age of 27, and but he didn't want to go to Nauvoo. But eventually he ended up in Nauvoo, but perfect timing. He goes to his first church meeting, and Brigham Young stands up, Mormon Brigham, of course, and says, we're going to have to stop construction on the temple. We've run out of money. There's nothing we can do.
Was Joseph still alive at this point?
I don't think so. I think it was between the martyrdom and when they were just finishing the temple.
Okay.
And, of course, he'd had that dream, and so he had $2,500, which is a lot of money in our day, I think. But in, that day, massive amount of money.
Right.
And took it and laid it at the feet of Brigham Young, and they were able to complete the temple. But Brigham made incredible...
he donated $2,500 to the temple?
Everything he had.
Oh, you're kidding.
And that's how they finished the Nauvoo Temple.
Wow.
Was with that money. And Brigham said blessed him with an amazing thing. He said, "You will stand at the head of your race, and neither you nor your family will ever want for bread."
Wow.
And that becomes a great promise for Wally as he's going through with the Nazis and everything that he went through. But a really important figure in church history. And Wally is going to be his grandson, born in Salt Lake.
Wally's Giuseppe's grandson. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, since you mentioned race, I talked to Paul Reeve, and 1840 conceptions of race were very different than our conceptions of race. Oh,
absolutely.
And so there was an Italian race, and there was an Irish race, and there was an African race, and there was every country race, basically. Yeah. So the head of the Italian race, is that how we should understand that?
I feel like he was saying those Italians who are going to join the church.
Okay.
And it's interesting you talked about that because he will change his name to be more Americanized.
Okay.
So he goes from Giuseppe to Joseph. And from
Taranto.
To Toronto.
Yeah, which is like the city up in Canada.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah.
Which is Canadian, not American. But close enough.
That's true. That is true.
Oh, wow. And so Giuseppe immigrates from Italy to New York to Nauvoo. Did he join the church in Nauvoo, or I guess he joined in Boston?
He joined in Boston.
Was Brigham because Brigham was a missionary there?
No, well, he wasn't Giuseppe's missionary, but he was a missionary. He was a political missionary for Joseph Smith at the time of the martyrdom.
Oh, because he was running for president.
Yeah, but he wasn't Wally's. Excuse me, he wasn't Giuseppe's missionary. But he will come and be at that meeting, and they'll say, we were supposed to finish the temple. We wanted to get you endowed before we go west, but we're out of money, people.
Okay.
And there he is right at the right time.
Wow.
And he had really wanted to send his money home to his family. They were impoverished, and after the dream, he never did.
Wow.
So the Lord is amazing, isn't he?
Yeah.
How he just works things out.
Yeah. So they finished the temple. I assume he probably got his endowment while he was there.
Sure, yeah.
And then 1846, 1847
Came
comes,
west,
and he comes. Yeah. Was he in the first pioneer companies? Or second or third?
I don't know. That's all I know about him. But,
okay. Yeah. Well, he makes it to Utah eventually.
Yes. Yeah.
And tell us more about the story.
Raises a family, and then you end up with Wally.
Okay.
And so Wally's going to be born...
turn of the century, probably.
Well, he's on his mission in 1929.
Oh, so later than I thought. A little after turn of the century.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I remember there was a story about Wally electrocuting some birds or something. Wasn't it like that? Do you remember that story?
Well, he liked to prank the livestock. So he was going to just shock these chickens. So between two poles, he strung some clothing wire. And he just wanted the chickens just to perch there and shock them a little bit. But he had an early chicken dinner. It electrocuted him.
Too much juice.
Yeah. He was an incredible tease. Incredible tease.
Did you get a lot of trouble for that?
Didn't say he did, but he should have. He definitely should have.
Mom, I got a couple dead birds for dinner.
Yeah. Early Sunday dinner.
So quite a character, very, funny prankster.
Yeah, absolutely.
And did that continue throughout his life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His wife talks about she loved the opera and he did not.
Okay.
And they'd go to the opera and he'd whistle during it.
Oh, no.
She'd get so mad.
Yeah, I bet.
But he didn't quit. There's another story of, we think of false eyelashes, and I don't know exactly what his daughter was doing, but she was a teenager when they were in Czechoslovakia, and someone told her she could get some false eyelashes. And I guess they weren't the best.
Uh-oh.
And so he started calling her bristles.
Bristles?
Bristles. Yeah. So he was funny. He was a funny guy.
All right, so he goes on his mission about 1929, starts in Germany, gets transferred to Czechoslovakia. Are those languages similar, or did he have to
I think they are, but he's the only one of the five that really mastered it. And he's known as the first missionary to master the Czechoslovakian language.
Okay.
He really had a gift for languages, and I think that's one of the reasons that he was chosen to be one of the five to go. Is because Czechoslovakian is difficult, and he picked it up. He was the first to pick it up.
Okay. And so 1929, I think, isn't this when, did Germany invade Poland about that year? I don't remember my European history
Not yet.
Okay.
Well, that's...
We're getting close, though, aren't we? Or is that maybe closer to 33?
Well, it's more 39 Poland.
So it's a decade later.
Yeah,
okay.
But close. He will serve for 3.5 years on his first mission.
Okay.
Because I don't think they counted the first year that he was in Germany. So long mission.
Yeah.
He comes home, gets married, and 3.5 years later, he gets a call from the First Presidency to come and see David O. McKay. And
so he's like 25?
Yeah. I think his wife is 24. I think he's 26.
Okay. That's really young to be called to be a mission president.
Well, yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. She's 24. She's
practically the same age as the missionaries.
Well, she's younger than most of them. So, they wouldn't call her mission mother because... So they called her the mission princess, and she liked that. She was...
Really?
She was really stylish. She loved to dress really sharp, and I imagine it was probably the first time that missionaries had a real crush on his mission president's wife. Yeah, they come into David O. McKay's office and they have no idea. And then they ask him and they're just flabbergasted.
Yeah, I
just
bet.
absolutely flabbergasted. I guess Wally's 27 and she's 24.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they will arrive in Czechoslovakia. There's no MTC. There's no language training mission. They're just June 1st, 1936.
And he's the only one that knows Czechoslovakia, so that's why he got picked.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's been home from his mission like 5-ish years when he gets called to be a mission president.
Yeah.
That's just amazing.
Yeah.
And
they've got a little girl. They've got a baby girl.
Okay.
When they're called, and and she is so provincial. I mean, she'd been nowhere but maybe she'd been to Sandy. Grew up in Salt Lake, and what a shock for her.
Yeah.
But she is really a trooper, and she's amazing.
Wow.
She really is amazing. And I should tell you that she is the only woman who's been called as mission president. When Wally passes away at age 60, and he'd been de facto for decades,
Okay.
then President McKay will say, "We want you to serve until we replace him."
Okay, so she had learned it by then.
So for
it's been 30 years, so
for a few months, she was a mission president.
Wow.
I think that's the only woman in the history of the church.
Wow.
I could be wrong, but I think it is. Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So 29, he goes on his mission, and it's about 34 when he gets called to be a mission president.
36.
36.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay.
1936.
So 1936. So we're on the verge of World War II.
We're 3 years before.
Okay.
Yeah. And definitely Hitler is, he is very much present.
Right.
And, the people are talking about him, the missionaries are talking about him. You have a lot going on. And he will, as soon as they have the Anschluss, how do you say that?
I don't know.
Anschluss. Where they take over Austria.
Okay.
Then the people just go, we know we're next.
Okay.
Because he wants the Sudetenland. He's trying to, his big thing was we're going to unite all Germanic people. And
okay,
so
which would include Switzerland.
And there's Germans, especially in that western part of Czechoslovakia, and so they just go,
and Poland as well.
Yeah. There's not a prayer.
Okay.
And they had, Wally and Martha talk about all these planes flying over all the time, or, watching people test parachutes, or, so it's the preparation for war, and it's all around them, and they're trying to, convert to the gospel. And, the missionaries said, especially after the Anschluss, that people just wouldn't listen to them. They were just so worried and scared. That's all they talked about.
Now, if we could back up just a tiny bit, because Germany kind of started World War I and World War II.
Do you think?
Was there a lot of damage from World War I in Czechoslovakia from the First World War?
No.
So they skated through pretty well.
Yeah. And they will skate through World War II because it's basically a bloodless takeover.
Okay. So not a lot of damage there.
No. And so if you go to Prague, there's still all the beautiful castles, and there's not a lot of war damage in Czechoslovakia.
So even when the Allies did they invade Czechoslovakia to end the war, or was it just we got Germany, we got Hitler, and
I think the Allies just basically Russia decided they would take Czechoslovakia.
Okay.
And that's
when
the
part
communists...
of the partition of Germany, essentially.
I think that's just,
Okay. And so we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit. The communists came in, and there wasn't a lot of damage even then when they came in.
No.
Okay, well, that's good. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Dr. Mary Jane Woodger, author of Mission President or Spy. In our next conversation, we're going to talk about how Wallace Toronto reacted when Hitler invaded.
So it's September 1938, Hitler will demand the Sudetenland in Western the Sudetenland in Western Czechoslovakia, where a substantial minority of Germans lived. He demanded that was his. And so the First Presidency will order the missionaries and the Torontos to leave.
Thanks for listening, and I hope you to continue to enjoy Gospel Tangents. Consider becoming a Patreon or go to gospeltangents.com/shop, and you can get a cool tie, a hat, or even a nice mug. You can also get a sweatshirt. So check it out at gospeltangents.com/shop.